Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for another very special edition of WOWSA Live with our host, Ned Denison.
Hello, everyone. I'm the chairperson of the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame. We have yet another Argentinian honoree, Silvia Dalotto. Silvia, please say hello to everyone.
Hello, how are you? Thank you for this invitation.
Silvia, give everybody an idea of the swimming you did before you became a marathon swimmer.
Well, I learned how to swim with my mom when I was about 6 years old. And then I started swimming training at the age of 10, approximately. I did a career in the pool first. I was mixing competitions in the pool and also the Argentinian Open Water Championship that were maximum 2 hours long. And then at the age of 19, I started swimming in the marathon competitions. But being honest, at the age of 10, I was the worst swimmer of the club. And I always said that what God didn't give me in talent, give me in will, because I had to train a lot. I was not a good swimmer. I had to swim to do very hard training sessions.
And tell us about the famous Argentinian marathoners from the past. When did you meet them and how did they advise you on getting into the circuit?
Because in 1988, Santa Fe Coronado race started to be organized again. And in that moment, swimmers from Santa Fe, like Fernando Fleitas and Diego Fleitas, who were swimmers also in the pool, and very good friends of mine, they told me, you have to come. They did the circuit, they did Santa Fe Coronado, then they did the circuit, and they told me, you have to come and do this with us. And at the same time, my former coach was a world champion in the times that winning Kaplan Apples was the competition to become world champion. And he won Kaplan Apples in 1975. So it was a mix of situations in which I didn't have a chance to decide by myself at all to swim Santa Fe Coronado. So I jumped in the water in 1990, February 4th, for the Santa Fe Coronado race, and I won. So when I got that competition that was fabulous and fantastic because of the publics and everything, I received invitations to go to the other competitions in Europe and North America. And that is how I went into the circuit, into the marathon competitions.
Were you a spectator for Santa Fe Coronado before you swam for 1 year, 2 years?
No, never. I mean, my first close experience with Santa Fe Coronado was under the water, in the water. So, and I had to do a trial to be able to swim Santa Fe Coronado. In that moment, we had to swim 4.5 hours. And the winner of the trial was allowed to swim in the competition. And I won the trial. And I remember that somebody told me, you know, 4 hours is not the same than 7 hours because looks close. But then when I was swimming my first marathon, I say, you know, never again, never again. Who told me to do this? And then after that competition, another 49 marathon I did. So I say never again, but I went back and back and back to Santa Fe Coronado and other competitions.
Did you know in that first big swim that you were competing with the very famous Annemie Landmeters and Irene van der Land? Did you know who they were, what their reputations were?
I knew that Irene was the world champion and that Annie was from Belgium, but no, I honestly didn't know because in 1990, we didn't have internet to, you know, to look, to Google someone, to see their performance. The news that you had was from other people, other swimmers. I was 19 years old. I didn't have very much information. Then, well, during the competition was hard because, of course, they were very good swimmers. But I got to know who was who with the following competitions, with the following marathons.
Several people doing the interviews have talked about the crowds and the boats in the water. What are your memories about that first swim? The number of people and the noise and the boats and the cheering. What do you remember? What's in your head?
Well, that first Santa Fe Coronda for me, we had a lot of rain during the week. So the flow was very high, and I and was a great day. It was not a sunny day with all the people that used to be around the race. I remember that the people on the side of the river and the noises. And I remember when I arrived to the end that Diego Fleitas, that was the swimmer who finished right before me, I finished in the 10th position out of 34 in total. And I remember my coach jumping from the boat and hugging me. And he's not very expressive, so it's something to remember, you know, because it never happened before and never happened after that. But yes, the people is amazing. I think that when you are a swimmer, you don't have the whole perspective of what the race is about. But then I went back 6 times as a FINA official to Santa Fe Coronda, and from the boat, you see the big picture of the race, which is amazing, amazing. Because of the boats, because of the people, because of the party, because of, it's in carnival time, so the people plays between the boats and between the boats and the coast, and the competition is almost an excuse for a big party that day in Santa Fe, but it's a really amazing competition.
So 19 years old, hometown girl, you win the big swim. What was the reception of your friends and your family?
Well, I remember the night of the competition, after having a shower and change and so on, I went to have dinner, and Diego Degano was the winner of the competition too. And we were very good friends. In fact, we have shared so many things related to teenagers, you know, like parties or birthdays or things like that. And I didn't have an idea about the reception of the people, of the reaction of the people. And we went into a restaurant, a normal restaurant, not a restaurant of the organization, you know, an event organized or nothing, just like a normal people that you go to a restaurant and all the people stand up and start clapping. And it was like, wow, you know, because never happened something like that to a swimmer. And in Santa Fe, the people was very nice to me always. But I born 30 kilometers far from Santa Fe in the city of Paraná. And the day after I came to Paraná and nothing, like if nothing happened, you know, people from my city, from my hometown start to recognize what I was doing in 1993, because 3 years after, in 1993, the City Hall of Paraná organized a race called Hernandarias Paraná, 88 kilometers long. So when the people of my town saw me swimming competitions, they understood what was going on in Santa Fe. But until they had the picture in the city, they didn't realize what was going on just 30 kilometers far from home.
You competed at the top level for something like 7 years. You said you did 50 marathons. What are your best memories of all of those years?
The group of swimmers, absolutely, because we were competitors between us, but at the same time we were suffering for the same situations, because in that time we didn't have the limits in the cold water temperatures or conditions, you know. And for example, when you had to swim Lake St. John with 14 degrees for 11 hours, we all suffered the same situation. Nobody is having a happy time swimming for 11 hours in 14 degrees. So I think there is something in common, you know, that even you compete against the others, you also compete against yourself and your limitations and your mental preparation and your physical preparation. So I remember sharing the car sharing hotels, looking for a pool where to train between competitions, and fighting for the prize money that many times was not easy, or for good conditions about the organizers. So, of course, for example, I have a very nice memory from Capri, Naples, because in Capri, we didn't have a pool at that time to do our training before the competition. And we used to meet in Marina to meet 2 or 3 or 4 swimmers to go swimming together, because it was dangerous to go on our own because of the boats. So I had that kind of pictures in my memories of very nice moments, but in general, the experience, the human experience was fantastic.
Who were your toughest competitors?
Oof. Well, I won in 1990, and in 1991, Julie Taylor appeared. And from that moment, no more chances to win, not for me and not for others, because she was a fantastic swimmer. But at the same time, so many swimmers came up in that years, like Karen Barton, Marian Cassidy, Kim Dyke, Anne Ladmeters, Annie Grandison, Rita Kovacs, Peggy Books. I remember in 1993, I still have the newspaper. In Capri, Naples, we were 25 females. So, and out of them, my competitors were about 6 or 7. So you can be second or you can be 10th. And of course, according to the race, you know if you have more or less possibilities. As I was not a talented swimmer, I knew that the coldest water will be better for me. The hardest races will be better for me. So the worst conditions were better for me. But well, it's not a pool. It's, you know, every competition is different. So, but it was a nice time. I have very good friends from that moment that we're still in contact, very much in contact.
You were the Philip Rush of women. Philip Rush liked the cold, rough conditions because he thought he had the better chance against everybody. What were you still in school in those years? How were you supporting yourself?
Well, during the first year, I was studying to become teacher of mathematics and physics. And I did my academic career together with my sport career. I finished in 4 years. I finished with an overall of 8.42 out of 10, the overall concepts approved. And I was, the little money that I was making through swimming, I was putting it in the bank. I was not touching that money, like a saving box. But I was teaching at home students. I was living with very little money. My family is coming from very low resources. And I was happy with little things. And I was keeping the money in the bank. And then I finished to study in 1993. And I started working. So I was competing, training, and working. I was working little hours, but with the same concept. I was living with the money that I was making through work, and I was keeping the money that I was making from swimming in the bank. So the day I finished, that I retired, I said, okay, 20 years of swimming left me this amount of money. Very disciplined to be like that, but well. And I was doing the same thing. And when I stopped swimming, I started working more hours at the school. But I always tried to, I didn't have very sponsors or scholarships. My sponsors were enough just to pay the trips to the competitions. I was not making extra money out of it. My extra money was only out of the prize money.
And when you retired, you became an official. Was that immediate, or did you take some years off? How did you become a contributor back to the sport?
Well, I stopped swimming, and the federation, the provincial federation where I live, they called me to be part of it. I started working as official in the pool and in open water. Immediately, the national federation invited me to join the Open Water Commission. And honestly, I don't know who proposed me or how come that I became FINA official just 2 or 3 years after, but I was very involved working with the competitions, and I had the chance to be FINA officials in World Championships and South American Championships, and also in the competitions of the Grand Prix class Santa Fe Coronado. I think my competitive advantage was that I swam most of the competitions, so you know you can learn about the rules and how to apply it, and you can have the character and whatever. But when you did it, you know extra things that when you didn't have the experience are difficult to transmit. So I had very nice stories and very funny and very hard stories. I remember in the World Championship in Barcelona in 2003, Gilly Taylor was in charge of the competitions because she was member of the FINA official commission. And she was putting me everywhere in the race in different positions. For example, before the start in the pre-competition area, and then at the control of the 5 kilometers, and then on the 15 kilometers, and then at the end. So I was jumping in the boats, trying to cover all the spaces, but it was she was trusting me. I think that she knew that I could make the rules be applied in a correct way, because you can make damage to another swimmer because you don't apply the rules, or because you over apply the rules. And also in Santa Fe Coronado, I was the FINA official for 6 years, and it was a very hard competition, because not only for the swimmers, because of the people around the race. So became not only a matter of applying the rules, but also to keep the swimmers safe. And it's a big responsibility. So, and I was FINA official until the age of 40. I almost 50 now, because also one day I said, I have been doing it. I have been doing it well. I have been enjoying this way of being official, but I don't feel as wake up at 6 in the morning anymore and be 12 hours in the boat, under the sun, under the rain, under the wind, not making any money at all, putting money as for being FINA official, and it's okay, it's enough. So I think that is the good part of swimming in my life as a swimmer and also as official, to say I did it until I enjoy it. The day that was becoming something that I had to push myself to do it was the time to do something else in my life.
Let's thank you for that contribution. The sport does not work without 50 Silvias around the world, or 500 Silvias around the world, who do not get paid, who spend their hours organizing, who come in the darkness to set up the table and hear all of the complaints. So thank you for that. You mentioned you were the official in the pre-start area. Were the women having problems before the start?
Yes, and also the men, and also the men. Also the men, yes. Well, before the start, I had this kind of conversations, you know, about the rules, but also about the nails, about the rings, about the watch, about this kind of things that you have to tell them. You know, it's simple. If you don't want to obey the rules, you have to look up for another sport. Play tennis, for example. You know, they were looking at you like saying, what did you say? I was trying to be ironic or with good sense of humor to let them know, to let them see that the rules are to be applied. Otherwise, do something else. You know the rules at this level of competition. And I remember David Meca Medina in Barcelona 2003. David was a great swimmer, but was also an actor, and he was making a show out of the competition. So another advantage that I had is that when I was a swimmer, and then as I came FINA official 2 or 3 years after, most of the swimmers of the coaches knew me as a swimmer. So, it was a close relationship, and also close generation of swimmers. So I remember one day David did some comments like they treat us like animals. They check if we have the numbers, and we check, put the numbers in our skin, some declarations that were very David. And so I told him, next time I will do it with fire, as we do it with the calls in Argentina, and you will have the number forever. So stop doing this kind of declarations that are too out of place. I don't know. I had a good time, and I have to recognize that I had a lot of respect from swimmers and coaches. So that was good also, I enjoy my time. It was hard time because it's not easy to be in a place of official because you are a kind of police. But at the same time, when I was asking them not to do something, and because I knew why they were doing it, they were respecting me a lot.
I've been told that you were kind of the godmother for all the swimmers in South America. They would come to you and they would kiss your ring and they would say, Silvia, I need some help. I need a new coach. I need a new pool. I need a new sponsor. And you would make it all happen like Marlon Brando in the movie The Godfather. How did you become the godmother in South America?
I didn't know they saw me like this. You told me. I never saw myself in that position. I don't know. I just try to help people. I always say that I had a very tough time in so many aspects as a swimmer. And if I don't share my experience, or if I don't help others to have an easier way, what I did is for nothing, because if we were discussing the same things that 30 years ago, we have to move forward in sport, in life, and everything. So for swimmers today, things will be easier than how they were for me 30 years ago. But I don't know. Maybe it's natural in other aspects. Last year, I'm directors of courses training in my National Olympic Committee, and I am the director of different courses. And last year, I got to know that the student called me in the same name that you tell me now. So I said, well, it's impressive because I don't see myself in that position. But I think that people who has the will to progress, they will do it either with your help or without your help. So you better help them, because maybe around the life you will need them. So when the people have the determination to do something, I don't see myself stopping somebody to grow or to move forward, I don't know. Maybe it's my character, but I'm glad that that is the image that I...
So in the movie, Marlon Brando helps his friends. Sylvia helped her friends. Marlon Brando also had people killed. Sylvia threatened the hot coals to brand the swimmer with the number.
But yes, but you know what happened? Yes, but every time you are in a position where you have to take decisions, no matter if it is in swimming, in working, at home, or whatever, some people will love you and some people will not love you at all. But that happens to all of us. And I have people that love me, and I have people that doesn't want to even see me. And I know this, and you have to live with that. Of course, we all want to be loved, but it's impossible. If you're a person that everybody loves, it's because you are not doing anything at all. But every time you take a decision, you will make it good for someone a bad for someone or not convenient decision for someone. So what I'm sure is that I have been always on the side of the swimmer. And that is one of the reasons that why I stopped being FINA official. Because sometimes the organizers of the competitions, I'm talking in general, not in one competition in particular, think in their own business, and the press and the authorities and the political part, and the swimmers as not the central part of the event. And one day I decided that I will not change that part, and I was taking big risks, and the security to keep the swimmers safe was the most important thing, and I was not sure that I will be able to guarantee the security of the swimmers. So I say I'm taking a very big risk. As when you are FINA official in a competition for the World Championship, you have penal responsibilities. You can not go to jail, but go to difficult juridical parts. And I didn't want to go into that because of doing a volunteer job for a competition, you know. But well, yes, I'm love and I am not love for some people.
It reminds me of the story of our co-host Steve Munatonis. I think it was in China, who was not very happy that the temperature of the water was above the temperature it was supposed to be after Fran Crippen died. I think a few people on the organizing side decided not to like him after that. Silvia, you are an honor swimmer in the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame. And for your contributions, you also received the Davids Wheeler Award from the International Swimming Hall of Fame. What other awards and honors have you received in Argentina?
Well, I always say that this is the most important award that I have received. In fact, when I put in my CV, I think that keeps the first place, because it's the award that I received from my peers, from the people from swimming. And that is the hardest recognition to get to. So I'm very happy and pleased and honored to have received the Davids Wheeler Award. And I have been also receiving awards here in Argentina from my city town many years, and from my province, and also for my National Olympic Committee. I received 2 awards in 1997 and another one in 2014 because of my contribution to sport. And at the local level, more to my contribution for swimming. But for many years, I am very recognized person here in my hometown. And I still today, I receive distinctions. For example, in 2018, we have in Buenos Aires the 3rd Youth Olympic Games. And with the torch relay in my hometown, they were able to choose only 10 people. And I was chosen one of them, and I was the first one to run with the torch here in my hometown. And I stopped swimming 26 years ago, you know, and swimming is not like soccer in Argentina or basketball. And that was a very strong distinction, because it's something that happened so many years after, and it means that you remain in the memory of the people of the city. And I almost don't work here, and my work is in Buenos Aires, 500 kilometers far from here. I live here, but I go and back. And that is another distinction, award, recognition that I have received very recently for saying.
So you told us that when you retired from swimming, you stopped going to the gym and you stopped running. You made an exception for the torch?
It was a little run, so well, like 200 meters. But yes, the day I stopped swimming, you know, many swimmers, when they stop swimming, they don't want to jump in the water for years, or maybe never again, at the pool, whatever. I stopped swimming, and the day after I was swimming, but never again. I watched the clock. I mean, I just jump in the water, swim without series, without stressing myself in any way. I never again went to the gym. is right and never again run. That is my limit. And I swim 2 kilometers. That's it. My mental restriction is sometimes I say, well, today is a sunny day and I have more time and I have more energies. I will swim a little bit more. I can't do it. I don't know why. It's my limit.
Look at the next 10, 20 years. What's the future for marathon swimming?
Well, in 2005, I had an interview because the competition in Santa Fe, for example, is organized by a private organization, but the competition in Paraná was organized by the city hall. And obviously, every time you have elections and authorities change and the mayor change, there was again this controversial question of we will do Hernandarias Paraná or we will not do it because of the expense of the organization, the logistic and everything, the prize money in dollars. And in 2005, I told the mayor, you know, I think that we should move to a shorter competition because open water will become in the Olympics, and the best swimmer and the money and the scholarships and the sponsors will go to the discipline of the Olympic Games. And in 2008, open water was in the Olympics with a different conception. We are all agreed that has nothing to do. We cannot compare 10 kilometers in almost a pool with dirty water. And I don't want to be nasty, but it's not the same than Capri Naples or Santa Fe Coronado with waves, with tides, with different. It's different because at the Olympic Games, that format is good for TV, and TV is the big sponsor of the IOC. So the world of sport is changing, and if we don't adapt and adjust, we lose, we died. And they didn't understood the concept. And if through the time we saw that we have every year less swimmers in the marathons decrease the distance in many cases. Magog is 32 when before was 40. St. John is also shorter. Atlantic City disappeared. Capri Naples is having problem every now and then. Santa Fe Coronado this year, they didn't organize the race from Santa Fe to Coronado. They did a circuit in the harbor of Santa Fe. And I see this problem of having less and less swimmers every year. So it's a pity, but as a World Series, I don't see a good future for open water. I think that because it's not the same to do your preparation for a 10K race and for 50 kilometers race. Maybe some of the competitions will remain because of the tradition, of the story, of the symbolic part of the marathon, like Santa Fe Coronado or Capri Naples or a couple of the races. But in 10 or 20 years' time, I think the marathons will disappear because of the organizers, of the money, and also because of the athletes. I don't know how many more people will want to swim 40 kilometers in a lake in Canada, for example.
So the ultra marathon series, the 25K and above, you see is in danger. What about the 10K? Is that going to get stronger?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Because good swimmers from the pool, for 1,500, to swim the 10 kilometers is just like it is, to adjust, to adapt, to do the steps to jump into open water. And it's much more available, the distance, for a bigger mass of swimmers. But maybe I'm wrong, but in my opinion, the 10Ks will become stronger, 10, 5, maybe 15, but more than that, the competitions will not have, at least, or can have maybe swimmers that would like to do it long distance, but not good level of swimmers. because there is always the people who wants the challenge, you know. So for the people who wants the challenge because they were not athletes or whatever, maybe they will survive, but not as a competition for the FINA level.
Silvia, thank you very much for your time today. It's been very interesting and enjoyable, and I'm sure we'll talk again.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for this invitation. I had a very good time talking to you and to the people. Thank you.